there and do your hashtag cold approaches, try talk to somebody else first. It might just be talking to yourself. Get your vocal cords firing. Usually when guys go over and approach women, that woman is the first human being they've talked to that day. Do you know what I mean? If you're anything like the clients that I work with, high achieving, analytical guys, spending 8 hours a day behind a screen, sometimes you don't want to see cold approach as this thing that's getting all of your needs met. You don't want to see it as a thing to get your social needs met, your romantic needs, your spiritual needs, your emotional needs. Get your vocal cords firing. I like to send voice messages in our private entourage WhatsApp group. I'll send voice messages to my mum. I'll FaceTime some of my friends. I'll just talk to myself. I'll just reiterate or recite different passages of my favorite Shakespeare, like Macbeth, Act 5, Scene 3. I'll just get my vocal cords firing because it just means your conversations are going to be a lot more smooth. Anyway, if you don't know who I am, my name's Christian. I'm the best in the world when it comes to teaching the art of daytime call approach. I don't teach game. Game is weird. Game will make you feel like some weird pickup robot. I teach anti-game, okay? So anti-game is about ripping off the mask, burning the dating rulebook, and leading with unfiltered authenticity. I get the best results in this entire industry. If you want to see the results that my clients actually get, first link below. It won't take you to a landing page. It'll take you to my testimonials page where you can gobble up all my testimonials. I've worked with over 200 guys at this point, guys who thought the dating lives that they wanted was impossible for them. Specifically, a lot of guys who would have considered themselves too old. So I've worked with guys in their 30s who thought they were too old for cold approach. I've worked with guys in their 40s who thought they were too old. And I've worked with guys in their 50s who thought they were too old. So what I want to do in this stream is just kind of dissect the issues and kind of give you an understanding of when is cold approach age appropriate. And if you're a guy who's watching videos like this and maybe you've come out of a difficult divorce, maybe you've come out of a long-term relationship, maybe you met your other half down the pub 20 years ago when the world seemed a lot more simple, and now you're scratching your head, nibbling your bollocks, thinking, how do I actually meet people in the modern world? Yeah, you probably don't want to use dating apps. You probably don't want to wait 6 months to try and shag Sally from your social circle. And if you are a guy who is, let's say, more mature, you probably don't want to be spending your time in grotty nightclubs. So daytime approach becomes the only viable option. But then you're probably in your head thinking, is this weird? Is this creepy? Am I going to get myself in trouble if I'm a 40-year-old dude approaching 25-year-olds? So I actually got an email the other day, which I thought, you know what, I'll actually make this into a piece of content. I won't reveal the guy's name, but he sent me an email and it said, when is cold approach age appropriate, ? So I'll read out the email and then I'll just give you an overwhelming amount of value, which will which is aiming to just help you as much as possible. And if at any point you're like, you know what, I've heard enough, I actually just want to get in contact with this guy, then feel free to reach out to me. You can find like a link to booking a call. It'll be somewhere. Just go over to the testimonials page. On that testimonials page, you'll be able to find a link. If you want it, you'll find it. Anyway, hi Christian, that's me. I appreciate your raw, authentic teaching on building the skill set for daytime cold approach. Thanks. And becoming the best version of yourself in all aspects of life. I'm a 48-year-old and have sporadically approached women over the past few years while going about my daily life, such as at the store, working out, etc. Sometimes I wonder if it's appropriate to be cold approaching women at my age. I've heard some people say that cold approach is a young man's game. I appreciate you weighing in on this. Thank you and have a great weekend. Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there. But first of all, if you are enjoying these streams, if you appreciate the free esoteric wisdom that I drop, then feel free to drop it a like, tickle that like button, and I'll be very happy, man. Okay, so when is cold approach age appropriate? So what I would say first of all is the problem with this email is he explains that he's been approaching women sporadically over the past few years while going about his daily life. This is one of those idealistic things that guys really like the sound of. It's like, I just want to be able to approach women as I'm walking to the gym, as I'm in the supermarket, as I'm about to collect my mocha chocochino. It does not fucking work, yeah? It doesn't work. It only works if you've had some form of immersion experience first. This idealistic view of when I leave the house, I'll just approach beautiful Sally. You're not going to do it because you become what you practice. Most guys are practicing hesitation, okay? So even if you sporadically approach 3 women in the space of 6 months, it's nowhere near enough the volume you need to turn this skill into something you are rather than something you do. Because in between these sporadic approaches that you would have done, there would have been hundreds of opportunities that you didn't take. So what you're doing, if you imagine like two buckets, like buckets filled with sand, every time you approach, a little bit of sand gets put in this one bucket, and every time you don't approach, another bucket of sand gets put in this other bucket. Well, the more times you don't approach, this bucket of sand is getting heavier and heavier and heavier, and it will weigh you down in this avalanche of uncertainty. So you will start associating women with stress, with fear, with hesitation. And then what you do is you think of the viable excuse as to why you shouldn't approach. So if you're a 48-year-old guy, you're probably telling yourself the story, I should not approach because it's weird. And every time you don't approach, it reinforces the creepiness that you feel. You need some form of immersion, right? All of this, and I'm in this stream, by the way, I'm literally just going to give you the advice that you need. I'm not going to tell you what you want to know. I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. I don't give a fuck if you don't like me. I don't give a fuck if you get offended by me. I'm just going to tell you the truth, because when guys work with me, this is how I operate, right? I'm not here to be your friend. I'm here to be your coach. And if you're associated with me, I will make you successful, but you need to cut the bullshit as well, okay? Because if you're a 48-year-old guy, you need to get serious. You need to get real, right? You're running out of time. Right? There needs to be some urgency attached. Sporadically approaching women in between errands is not going to fix your life, and neither is watching free content online, okay? Watching free videos and expecting your dating life to magically change is like sniffing a condom wrapper, expecting to lose your virginity, yeah? At some point, you realize information is not valuable. Implementation is where it's at. So I've worked with countless guys in their 50s who, after consuming thousands of hours of content, they realized it's going to take me thousands of hours to implement all this shit. And there's no guarantee I'm going to get the results that I want. And I also run the risk of getting burnt out. So when 50-year-old guys apply to work with me, or guys in their late 40s, and they're like, I feel like I'm running out of time, my answer is always the same. Yes, you fucking are, right? You are running out of time. None of us are getting any younger. I have this constant fear in the back of my mind that I'm running out of time, because we don't know when our call is going to get called. Yeah, I'm 28 years old right now, and I'm living like I've only got a year left, because we don't know when that final moment is going to happen, right? I've had people in my life this year who've passed away, people that I didn't think were going to pass away. And it really made me rethink the mortality of existence and how so many of us are just pissing our time away. Oh, I'll do it next year. Oh, I need to think about it. Oh, is this creepy? Yeah. So the first thing that I need you to understand is, yes, you are running out of time, and yet you don't have the time to piss away anymore, okay? So you need to get serious. Just doing these sporadic approaches and then blaming your age. What about in 10 years, right? In 10 years, you're going to be 58, and you're probably going to look back at where you were now at 48 thinking, I could have just taken action then. I could have just immersed myself, because this is what my guys do, okay? So when guys, they reach out to work with me, we have a 30-minute, no bullshit conversation. I'm not trying to sell you some bullshit program. I'm not begging you to work with me. I've got enough money. I've got enough clients. I don't need your money. I don't need your time. I just need people who are prepared to give this everything that they've got, because this works as long as you do, dude. This works as long as you do, yeah? So when I'm having my conversation with guys, they might say things like, yeah, I've just turned 50. I feel like time's slipping away. Yeah, it fucking is. I'm so happy you're on this call now, because even if you don't decide to work with me, I will just give you this wake-up call that no one else will give you, because I don't give a fuck about offending you. Yeah, because your friends might be saying things to you like, oh, when it will happen, it happened. Yeah, maybe you've had that advice like, build it and they will come. Yeah, focus on your career, stack lots of cash, and then one day, some way, somehow, the woman of your dreams is going to knock on your door, being like, right, I'm ready now. This actually happened. What happened with one of my clients? I call him Peter. So Peter was a semi-retired business owner, and he worked with me in London last February. So he was 51 years old, and he'd come out of a difficult divorce, and he'd been watching cold approach content online, and he'd reached the point where he's like, yeah, I'm definitely not going to do this on my own. I'm either going to pay with time or I'm going to pay with money. So I'm going to pay with the thing that I value the least, which is money, right? He had money, he didn't have a lot of time. So we linked up in London. I took him through the same process that I take all of my clients through the same process, which has already worked for over 200 guys. Again, you can listen to some of the stories on that testimonials page, link below. Evidence has got the loudest voice, just so you know, I'm not talking out my ass. I actually do know what to do. I actually do know how to drive results, okay? Again, link below, testimonials, see the evidence for yourself. And after working with me, we had a lot of work to do, right? This is not an overnight fix. This is not a magic bullet. I'm not saying you're going to work with me and overnight your dating problems are going to be fixed. No, but it works as long as you do, okay? So after working with me, Peter went out, I introduced him to other like-minded guys. So when guys work with me, they get in-person, one-on-one coaching, none of that group coaching bollocks. And this means that we can just turn decades into days, okay? I allow my guys to skip all the trial and error, remove all the guesswork. They're fitted with invisible wireless microphones, which means I can listen in to all their conversations and just give them no bullshit feedback in real time. That's why I say one approach with me is worth around 30 approaches on your own, because you don't know what you don't know. You can't see what you can't see. You might be going out there doing your sporadic approaches thinking you're God's gift to women. But if you can actually listen to yourself back, you'll realize you're doing 100 things wrong, right? So I give Peter the feedback, I connected him with the right people, and then gradually, as he was going out, he was implementing the feedback, he decided to go from London over to Eastern Europe. And then in Eastern Europe, he took the skill set that he got in London, which I believe is the most challenging city, but the most productive city to learn the skill of daytime approach. He went over to Eastern Europe where he built a rotation of statuesque blonde bombshells, right? I've got another guy who I work with, Graham, right? Graham was a 50-year-old teacher. He reached out to work with me. He'd been terrified of speaking to women for 3 decades. He'd never had a serious relationship. And then within 1 week of working with me, he got himself a 25-year-old girlfriend. I also had another guy called Sean, another 50-year-old business owner. He turned 50, and his motivation for working with me was simple. He'd always settled for women, right? He'd always settled for women he thought he could get rather than going after women he actually wanted. And he never felt like himself in relationships. He always felt that he had this needy little bitch version inside of him. So Sean's motivation for working with me wasn't just to find somebody. It was to, quote unquote, find himself. It was to destroy the needy little bitch inside of him. You know, those people-pleasing tendencies. You probably find them yourself. You're in relationships and you feel as though you've lost yourself in that relationship. You've gone a little bit soft. You've lost your edge. You've lost your character. And that's what happened to Sean. He got to 50. Again, a very no bullshit guy. Yeah, no bullshit business owner, absolutely crushing it professionally. Yeah, in every other area of life, he was excelling. But in this one crucial area, he felt like the ugly duckling still. He felt like all of his other verticals of success, like he'd outgrown those. But this area of finding somebody, it continued to evade him. So we actually worked together last summer in Malaga. And I took him through the exact system, introduced him to the right people. The whole thing that you see on my channel, like working with guys one-on-one, listening to the conversations, giving them feedback, inviting them to our weekly group coaching calls, our secret in-person meetups. I would just say, by the way, I think it's important to notice at this point, I traditionally work with my clients for at least 12 months, okay? Most coaches in this space, they will do some weird weekend group coaching boot camp where you'll go into this boot camp, maybe you get results, maybe you don't, you get funneled like cattle onto a group coaching thing where it's you and all of these clueless other dudes who are all trying to learn the skill. You probably end up getting coached by some bozo you've never heard of before, and then boom, it's on to the next people. No, daytime cold approach is probably one of the most difficult skills you are ever going to learn. And you're not just going to get the skill in a couple of days. So when I work with my guys, we complete in-person coaching where I just install my anti-game artistry system into them. But the time we spend together in person is just the start of that transformation, right? So I'm working with my guys traditionally for 12 months, not because it's going to take 12 months for them to get the results that they want, but because I've been doing this for 5 years now. I understand there's so many obstacles and challenges along the way, right? It's not just about learning how to approach women, right? First of all, you're pissed off because you can't approach women. Then you're pissed off because your conversations are shit. Then your conversations get better, but then you're not going for phone numbers because you've developed closing anxiety and you probably feel like a closet heterosexual. Then you can get numbers, but then the phone numbers flake. Then they stop flaking. Now you're going on dates. Now you don't know how to navigate dates because it's been many years since you've even been on a date. So it's like, we've got so much experience in my private coaching community that we're helping our guys tackle every single problem along the way. And this is what happened with Sean. I think it was 182.5 days after working with me in person, Sean met his fiance. And I've actually got a call scheduled with Sean in a couple of weeks because he's crazy busy with work right now. And he's like, dude, everything is incredible. Like my dating life has finally caught up with my professional life. And it feels awesome. Like he's literally met his fiance. Yeah, the woman that he is going to build a life with, a family with. I'm just like, that's one of those moments where I'm just like, do you know what, Christian? That's actually cool, dude. That's actually cool. Like, you've actually helped a guy meet somebody, like a wife-worthy woman. And yeah, 182.5 days. Yeah, I'm not saying that he met the love of his life in a day. No, it took groundwork. We had a lot of shit to do. A lot of the stuff that I do with guys as well is the unlearning, right? It's the unblocking, because the way that I see, if you're a successful guy in your 50s, let's say, you already have most of the things that you need externally, okay? You probably developed your fitness, your finances, your fashion. You're probably doing well professionally, but there is this doubt. There's this creeping doubt, this voice in your head, which is holding you back. You probably feel as though you're having to put on an act. Maybe you feel like a closet heterosexual, ashamed of having desires as a man. Maybe you're getting too much in your head thinking, oh, is this creepy? Should I be doing this? And this is another benefit that guys get. When you're around somebody like me, or even better, when you work with me, you join my private coaching community, you then get to meet other guys in your position. So I've got guys in my private community who are in their 50s. So it's okay for me to say, hey, dude, listen, your age is not the issue. It's the way you're perceiving your age. It's okay for me to say that because I'm a dashingly attractive 28-year-old. But if you listen to another guy who is 50, 51, 52, if you hear him say the same thing, it hits deeper because you feel there's more emotional resonance there. I coached another one of our guys, a guy from LA, really successful business owner. I coached him in London only 2 weeks ago. So this was a 52-year-old guy, business owner from LA, flew out to London to complete his immersion with me. And after his immersion, he had 3 dates lined up in London, one of which was with a university student. And he's 52 years old, right? 52 years old. Again, evidence has got the loudest voice. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. And this is a really important point as well. I'm not saying that just because you're a 50-year-old guy and you've watched some cold approach content and you've gobbled up a few of these live streams, I'm not saying every woman is going to be into it, right? And that's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that, okay, women don't have preferences. Yeah, that's just stupid. It's the same with height or race or age. It's like they're all the same thing. Like women have got preferences and they're allowed to have preferences. So I'm not saying if you're a guy who's 48 years old, just learn cold approach and you're going to be able to get any woman that you want. No, that's bullshit, old school American style marketing. But if you understand this, it'll literally change everything. Like, I don't teach game, I teach anti-game. So with anti-game, you're focused not on attraction, you're focused on repulsion, right? You're focused on being so unapologetically, authentically yourself that the women you approach will self-select. Some women are going to be into it. Other women are not going to be into it. But rejection does not mean failure. Rejection is a filter, okay? Every time you approach a woman as you are, not by wearing a mask, not by learning these weird routines, not by pushing, pulling, vibing, and stacking, but showing up as you are, you will attract the right women and repel the wrong ones, right? And this is why game doesn't work. This is why anti-game is the future. The old way of doing things, it was all about addition. It was, what can I add to my character? Yeah, add more lines, add more fake confidence, add more muscle. But eventually the mask is going to slip. Eventually she's going to realize she fell for an idea of you rather than the actual you. So you're much better saying to the world, this is me, take it or leave it. Yeah, so not every woman is going to be into it in the same way that every woman I approach is not going to be into me. I know, it's crazy, right? Bad taste. But this is what you want, right? You want to filter, you want to polarize, and you polarize through lethal authenticity, but also accepting yourself as well. You know, this is kind of like that inner game stuff that can feel a little bit woo-woo, a little bit wishy-washy, but it's true. Because if you're going over there and you've got this shopping list of insecurities and you're worried that the women aren't going to like you because of your age, then energetically, this is going to get transmuted into the approach. So if you can watch a live stream like this, I'm explaining to you that I've worked with guys in their 50s who had the same limitations, who had the same doubts, who had the same uncertainties, but they were able to penetrate this through action because belief follows action. Yeah. I remember one time I was working with a guy who was bald. We'll call him Jason. And Jason, he reached out to me after coming from a coming out of a after coming. Yeah, he reached out to me after wanking over one of my videos. I don't blame him. Jason reached out to me after he came out of a 10-year long-term relationship. So he'd had children and the relationship just didn't work out. And then he was bald and he had this crippling insecurity that the women he approached weren't going to like him because he was bald. And I call it the Bannister effect, because once you've done it once, it proves to you it's possible. You know Roger Bannister, the guy that broke the 4-minute mile? Before Roger Bannister broke the 4-minute mile, nobody thought it was possible. But then once he did it, everybody started breaking it. So what happened with Jason was, as soon as he got himself over that initial hesitation, he approached a woman. She didn't run away. She didn't call him ugly. She wasn't repelled or repulsed because of his bald head. He got phone numbers. He started going on dates. He's actually in a long-term relationship now with a Turkish girl who he cold approached in London. It was around Russell Square Gardens. And so now he's in a long-term relationship with a wife-worthy woman who supports his mission, supports his lifestyle. He's a business owner as well. So he wasn't looking to play the field. He just wanted to have one wife-worthy woman that he could do life with. And by taking the action, that was how he was able to overcome all these bullshit beliefs, because you're not going to think your way towards confidence. This is what people don't understand. People try and prioritize beliefs. It's not beliefs you should be prioritizing right now. If you're a 50-year-old guy, your beliefs have got you to where you are right now. You don't need any more beliefs. You need behaviors. You need to be prioritizing the behavior that will get you the desired result. So if you're currently watching lots and lots of videos and doing fuck all with them, then you need to stop doing that, because it's not going to get you anywhere. Instead, you need to mimic the behavior of a guy who's already crushing it. And what that means in plain fucking English, you need to have some form of immersion period where for a condensed amount of time, you're just prioritizing something like daytime cold approach. So when guys are working with me, we're traditionally doing 100 daytime approaches in the space of 3 days. Yeah, 100 daytime approaches in the space of 3 days. And like I say, one approach with me is worth around 30 on your own. So you can do the math, and now you can understand better why guys are able to get the results that they do. So you can either spend the next 3 decades pissing your time away, or you can just spend 3 days with somebody who's got a track proven record, who knows how to get you results. Again, it's not a magic bullet, right? There are no guarantees. Yeah, it works as long as you do. You need to be prepared to give this everything that you've got. You need to be prepared to have your ego destroyed. You need to be prepared to drop all of the stories that you're currently telling yourself, because where you've got so far, that's your best. And it's not about doing your best, it's doing what's necessary. Yeah, but you need some form of immersion period. So doing these sporadic approaches, some people would argue it's better than doing nothing. I actually don't think it is, because you can't be half a gangster, and going halfway with half a heart only digs a deeper grave. It's much better, if you are going to do some form of daytime approach, to just fully immerse yourself for at least 3 days. Yeah, because it takes around 100 of these approaches to start to develop proficiency. So if you're just doing an approach every now and again, it's going to do fuck all for you, right? So you need to get serious. You need to have some form of urgency attached to yourself. Again, you don't need to work with me, right? Work with whoever you want to work with. Maybe work with some guy who's older or who's got more life experience, someone who you resonate with more. But as one of our entourage guys, Joseph, once said, daytime call approach is not a solo sport. It's a team sport, and it's also an extreme sport. You're not going to learn this skill solo, especially if you're in your 50s, especially if you're already working a busy job. You don't want this to become a second job, right? You need someone next to you, side by side, who can give you no bullshit feedback and actually just be honest with you, right? Because again, your friends might be saying, oh, it's okay, bro, you've got plenty of time. If you're in your 50s, you don't have a lot of time, and you already know that. And that's probably why you're watching a stream like this. But you don't want it to just become this like wanking in the wind theatrical performance where you're like, yeah, I feel motivated now, I'm gonna go out there, I'm gonna crush it, and then nothing changes, right? The guy that I worked with in London recently, the 52-year-old, he's now in Krakow in Poland, and he's having this beautiful girlfriend experience with a girl who he cold approached. And, this is a guy who tried watching videos. He actually tried working with other coaches in the past. But because I work with my clients for traditionally 12 months, it means that we can really dig deep on all the things that are holding them back. Yeah. What do you believe to be true about the world that isn't? What do you believe to be true about yourself that isn't? Because here's the thing as well, and this is a lot of people are going to hate me for saying this. The older you get in life, the less forgiving women are going to be. Right? If you're like some of my clients in the entourage, I've got guys who are in their early 20s, right? Guys who wanted to start this skill young. And it's interesting because when I get a guy who's like, say, 21, who meets a 52-year-old, the 52-year-old always says, bro, I wish I'd have had the emotional bravery to get started with this early. Yeah, all my guys say the same thing. I wish I'd have started this sooner. Yeah, because you're never going to get your time back, right? We only get one shot and you never get the same moment twice, right? This thought experiment that I always have is I imagine myself 20 years from now. Yeah, 20 years from now, what would I think? Like, what would I think? I'll be like, 20 years from now, wow, it's such an interesting reframe because I think we often think we've got more time than what we actually do. But anyway, the 52-year-olds, like when guys will meet up with each other, the interesting thing is women are going to be a lot more unforgiving the older that you get. So if you are in, I would say, your 30s, your 40s, your 50s, you do need to have your shit together. Right? You do need to be a fuckable man. And look, I'm not saying you need to be a finished product, but you do need to have the basics in check. This is why traditionally I work with entrepreneurs, business owners, high-performing professionals, because you need to have something about you. All cold approach is, all game is learning how to deliver the value that you built to the world. And this is why old school game advice, like it doesn't work because it brainwashes guys into believing that they can just be losers, right? They can be these broke bums and just get these high value women. No, the game is unforgiving, especially in 2025. You need to have your shit together. You need to understand that not every woman is going to be into you, and that's okay. But if you don't have your shit together, if you've got a failing career, if you stink, if you're out of shape, then you're going to get left behind, okay? And again, this is not feel-good advice. This is not the advice that a lot of guys want to hear, but the older you get, the more unforgiving the sexual marketplace becomes, right? And I think it's important to keep that in mind because a lot of the guys who I work with who are, let's say, more mature, they don't look their age, yeah? They don't look their age. Like the guy from LA that I was just speaking about, he's 52. He looks like maybe 40 at the most. And that's because he's prioritized taking care of himself, taking care of his health, looking after his diet, his nutrition, his sleep. So this is like a universal thing. It's not just learning how to approach women. It's learning how to approach the game of life. And again, it works as long as you do. But I think if you're just going out there at the moment, you're doing these sporadic approaches, then you're going back and you're consuming endless amounts of theory, it's not going to do anything for you, dude. And you already know this, right? So I'm not saying, okay, you have to work with me, but for fuck's sake, work with somebody, do something different. Otherwise, your entire life is just going to be watching videos. And look, it's nice if you watch my videos. That's cool. I get more watch time. It feeds my narcissism. But, in terms of actually fixing your dating life and meeting the women that you want to meet, action is the way forward. And that's why I set my coaching up this way. Like when I work with my guys, I'm working with them in the field. Like imagine having somebody next to you who lives and breathes this skill set. I think that's one of the best pieces of feedback that my guys give to me is I didn't realize how effective being side by side with you would actually be because my clients become successful through osmosis. Proximity is power and success is contagious. And when you're working with me, I'm not overcomplicating this whole process. I'm not telling you to wear a mask and memorize this shopping list of DHV stories. I'm not telling you to push, pull, vibe, and stack. Instead, what we do, because I understand, right? I understand. If you are an older guy, there is a lot of doubt there. There is a lot of hesitation. Maybe you've been burnt in the past by women, by other coaches. I get that. But all I do when I'm working my guys in the field is we just focus on the only things that matter with daytime approach, which is open and close. Like you might be watching guys online who've got incredible verbal game, and you might be thinking, dude, it's going to take me so long to learn all of these lines and routines and witty phrases. I don't think I can do that. Oh, it's going to feel like a second job, right? You don't want any of that nonsense, and you don't need it, because when you say fuck you to game and instead you learn anti-game, all you need to focus on is open and close, because when you understand you're not trying to be attractive, you're actually trying to be repulsive, right? You're trying to repel the women who were never meant for you, which means you don't waste time on dead leads. All we prioritize is making your open and close as strong as possible, meaning when you approach women, you actually make that approach count. Yeah, so it's not about counting your approaches, it's making your approaches count. Watch the infield videos on my channel, especially watch the most recent video that I posted on the main page of my channel. Watch how I actually get the women to stop, right? I used to put a lot of emphasis on verbal game. That was because I was insecure. Okay, I spent a decade as a magician. Yeah, so I spent a decade of my life from 13 years old to practicing and performing magic because I had terrible social ability. I had terrible social skills. My hands used to tremble at the thought of approaching a stranger and showing them a magic trick. So I built my social ability brick by brick. People meet me today and they think, oh, well, it's easy for you. You're confident. You probably hopped out the womb being hashtag extroverted. No, motherfucker, I built myself brick by brick. And now when I work with my guys one-on-one, the reason I can turn decades into days is because I see my 13-year-old self inside of them. Yeah, but I used to put all of this emphasis on verbals. Go back and watch the oldest infields on my channel. You'll see I used to hide behind humor. You'll see I used to prioritize having these crazy, whimsical, nonsensical stories. You'll see I used to do all like the pushing, the vibing, the teasing, the challenging. And like, I'm not saying those things are wrong, but really it's overcompensation for something which is actually simple, right? It's like me man, you woman, I like that. So now when I'm walking over to women, I'm not in my head thinking too many steps ahead. I'm not experiencing failure in advance. I'm not trying to put on a performance in the hopes that she likes me. I'm going over there to find out if she's one of my women. And the way I do that is by having a strong, polarizing open. So I walk over there, I make sure to get in front of the girl, and I give her a hard-hitting compliment whilst looking her in the eyes, like, you look incredible, you look beautiful, you look so good. And because many guys today, myself included 5 years ago, are living life like closet heterosexuals, they almost want to be more covert with the way that they're approaching. But this makes the approach more creepy, right? You can't be half a gangster. Going halfway with half a heart only digs a deeper grave. So if you're going to approach a woman, mean the approach. You have to mean it. Otherwise, then you are just going to get seen as this weird, creepy, low-value pickup guy. I had another guy actually who joined the entourage a couple of months back. He's not actually had any in-person coaching with me. But just by joining the community, getting around other guys who are like him, he's now got 2 women on the go, right? This was a guy that he'd been watching my videos for quite a long time. He tried to implement some of the stuff, but he realized, again, what he was lacking wasn't information, it was implementation, it was accountability, it was support, it was no bullshit feedback. So he joined the entourage. I gave him exercises to do. He then reported back to me in the group. And then he has 2 women on the go, like 2 girlfriend experiences. This is a guy who's working in corporate London, right? Like, he doesn't have a lot of time. He would describe himself as being time poor. But because he's learned anti-game artistry, which is the most efficient way of meeting women naturally, he's now got 2 women on the go. A guy in his 50s who's working a corporate job and didn't think he had enough time to cold approach. Cold approach does not need to become a second job. If you're a high-achieving dude, you don't want to be parading around the pavements for 8 hours accusing every woman of being French. You don't want to be warming up gradually, like, oh, where's the nearest Starbucks, right? You just want to get straight into it. You want to have these polarizing approaches which filter fast for your women, right? And the way you do that, strong, big balls open, right? Put your big boy pants on and just polarize from the start. You look incredible. You look so good. Like, you look insane. And I would have regretted not coming over here, putting a smile on your face. What are you doing today? And I'm making sure you're closing, right? Well, listen, the reason I came over here is because you look incredible. What's the best way to get a hold of you? Are you on WhatsApp? What's your Instagram? That's another thing as well. Building an Instagram on the side is a lethal combination. I know like a lot of older guys are resistant to having an Instagram, but Instagram will make your life a lot fucking easier, because think about it this way. A big reason why girls will flake, or a big reason why you'll get girls' numbers and you never hear from them again, it's usually a lack of social proof, okay? It's usually a lack of safety, yeah? And if you've got something like Instagram can provide a a billboard of safety, meaning it can show you are a cool guy with a cool lifestyle. You're not just some low value 49-year-old who's parading around the pavements hoping that women are going to like him. Like, you need to have a life outside of women, right? Beautiful women are a beautiful byproduct of a beautiful life. But if you've got a life outside of women and it's not documented, then evidence, again, has got the loudest voice. And again, I know a lot of older guys are resistant to building an Instagram. Peter, the guy that I was speaking about before, the semi-retired business owner, he might be fully retired now, represent. He's actually built an incredible Instagram, right? He's took my advice on board. He was resistant at first, like, oh, dude, come on, I'm a 50-year-old guy. I don't want to be doing Instagram. I don't want to feel like an 18-year-old girl. I'm like, motherfucker, that's the exact reason why you want to be doing it. Like, you need to be living your life like you are a hot 21-year-old, right? Because if you get into hot girl mode, that's how you win. Right? It's by putting yourself on a pedestal, having these delusions of grandeur, having this justified arrogance as well. This is something that guys, like all the guys, it's like you're not used to it. Like actually rating yourself, actually reminding yourself of your achievements, understanding that to the right woman, you're going to be an amazing catch. But I think we live in this epidemic right now where men don't rate themselves. Even the high achievers, even the guys that should rate themselves, they still feel like the ugly duckling on the inside. Their external or their internal hasn't caught up with their external. So when I'm working with guys like Peter and my other 50-year-old clients, or just all of my clients, we have this concept of justified arrogance, right? If you've built it, fucking talk about it. Yeah? Like, make people aware of why they should choose you. Yeah, this game is competition. It's competitive out there, but it's not necessarily that you're competing against other guys, because if you understand anti-game artistry, you're creating a market of one, right? You're creating a market of one, but if they don't know about it, then they're not going to fucking know about it. So if you've got an Instagram which showcases your lifestyle, like Peter, he started taking dance classes, another recommendation that I gave him. So now he's documenting himself dancing with attractive women. That's cool. Women want what other people want. And it's documented on his Instagram. So now when he cold approaches women, it's not just like a, let's take WhatsApp. They actually go over to a carefully curated landing page where they can see Peter's interesting lifestyle. They can see him being pre-selected by being with other women. They can see him dancing, right? So it's a landing page. It's a funnel, which proves to women, oh, this is actually a cool guy. This is a 50-year-old guy who is using fucking modern technology. That's cool. So there's so much stuff that we've discussed in this stream, but you should probably watch this back a couple of times so it actually sinks in. But bottom line is, I know what I'm doing. I've coached over 200 high-achieving dudes, guys in their 50s, their 40s, black guys, Indian guys, Japanese guys, guys who thought they were too short, guys who thought they couldn't get women because they were bald. All of it. Like, I've seen it all. I've done it all. At this point, I'm the best in the world at what I do. So again, click the link below this video. It won't take you to my landing page. It'll take you to my testimonials page. Listen to the testimonials for yourself. There's a reason why guys stampede to work with me. There's a reason why I do get the best results in this entire industry. So link below, first link below the video, listen to the testimonials, listen to the proof. Because I think we live in a trust recession right now. You're probably not sure who to trust or who's a scam or who's a charlatan. I do get that. You need to do your own research. But with the results that I've got, especially for the older gentlemen in my orbit, I just know right now that as long as you are the guy who's prepared to ditch the excuses, who's prepared to do not your best, but to do what is necessary, if you're prepared to completely, metaphorically destroy your old identity, which is keeping you small, if you want to pursue character over comfort, and if you're prepared to just give this 100% and make this the year where you finally get this area of your life handled, I'm your fucking guy. But if you want to cry, if you want to blame women for your problems, if you want to allow more time to pass, if you think, maybe next year, if you're still stuck on the sidelines like a closet heterosexual, if you're easily offended, if you're a special snowflake, if you think that, oh, this guy's full of himself, there's a reason why I'm full of myself. It's because I've now backed it up with evidence. Again, first link below this video. Look at the proof. Look at the testimonials. It's undeniable at this point that I'm the best in the world at what I do. So yeah, if you want to be my next case study, get in contact with me. If not, I'm sure you'll be able to find someone who's a lot cheaper and probably a lot more shit. But yeah, if you've enjoyed this live stream, drop it a like, and I'll